What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Career Mode. This is episode number 198, and we start today's episode off with Atletico Madrid coming back to us regarding Szczesny and saying they will give us £23.5 million for our Polish goalkeeper, and I asked for £30 million. As I mentioned before, Szczesny, I'm not too convinced by the guy despite being an 85 rated goalkeeper, so I'm not against selling him, but I'm not too sure as we go into deadline day whether I will be able to find a goalkeeper as good as him in terms of the overall, who we could sign with the money we'll be getting for Szczesny and the money we've got left over. We probably could, but I wasn't too sure about it, so I said to Atletico Madrid, we'll take £28.5 million, otherwise don't bother, and as you'll see, they came back to us and said that it was too much. So fair enough, Szczesny will be staying at least till January. Of course, we do want to replace a lot of the players here at Arsenal, but as for Szczesny, the goalkeeper, you know, as he's 30 years old, he's basically in the game coming into his prime. The game seems to define goalkeepers as you know, players who will get better once they reach the age of 30, and I think their early 30s is when they start to come into their prime. I'm not too sure, which is fair game, I suppose, because a lot of goalkeepers do reach their full potential in that sort of age range. But yeah, I don't know, we'll see what happens with Szczesny in January, but for the time being he'll be staying, and I'm fine with that. Also, Luke Garb at Borussia Dortmund weren't happy with the bids we were putting in and basically just said please don't contact us anymore. I've had that email many times myself, and yeah, I just thought, you know, I don't really mind, to be honest. As you guys have been seeing, I have been putting in bids for Garb, but they're really expensive bids, and I don't know whether I want to spend that much on a left back. Now, that's nothing against that particular position, but with the money we have right here at Arsenal, as we are trying to restructure the team as much as possible, we may not have all of this money to work with again for, you know, the next the next few seasons or however long this series continues for. So I don't know whether I want to spend it all on one player as opposed to buying better sort of sorry, not better players, but younger players with high potential. I'm not too sure if I want to spend it all on a left back, to be honest, when Kieran Gibbs is good enough right now, 83 overall, only 5 ratings lower. So with regards to Luke Garb, like, I'm not bothered at Borussia Dortmund to basically blocked our email address, because quite frankly, as much as I'd like to get the guy, we can do without him. Do you know what I mean? It's not a desperation bid for us. We don't need to sign the guy. He's not going to make our season, so yeah, we can wait. Gibbs is totally fine, and I'm okay with that. So there you go. We also put in bids for a couple of youngsters here. Manuel Lazari of Vicenza, a goalkeeper who's 21 years old, 72 overall. Also that centre back from Levante there, who looks pretty decent. And also as well, I can't pronounce this guy's name, it's Pedro Mbar Anon, how's that, or Anon, but he looks pretty decent, 76 overall, 20 years old, currently playing for Cordoba. We'll have to wait and see what they say. I've had a list of players that are promising by these, you know, found by the scout and listed as promising, but I'm not too sure whether we'll be able to get any of them. Well, we probably could get them, but not for a cheap deal, and you know, if we do get one or two of them, they may not play too many games for us, so I'm not too fussed. As you can see, all of those get rejected, and I'm not too fussed about that. But Bryzaglov did get a bid from Fiorentina for £13 million. You may have missed it, I went by quite quickly, and he has left the club and will get £11 million for the guy. The transfer fee was £13 million, and I'm okay with that. He was an 80 overall centre back, not too bad at all, but he was on 90 grand a week, and he doesn't really play too many games. He's 5'11", and I think we can live without him, to be honest. And again, he's one of those players who I've mentioned before is on really high wages, and I want to restructure the wage bill here at Arsenal, just like we did at PSG. Shift on those players who don't play many games yet still picking up a really expensive paycheck week in, week out. So he's gone, and I'm okay with that. Building for the future, trying to get players on lower wages. I'm totally fine with the sale of Bryzaglov. And also, we put in a new bid for William Carvalho, well, first bid for William Carvalho at Sporting, but as the clock was running down, as you'll see, they said the bid was unacceptable and they wanted £16 million, so we just said, well, we can't do anything now because it's too late, and we'll just forget all about it because there's only a couple of hours left to go. So Carvalho won't come in, but it is worth noting that he does have his contract up at the end of the year, so I might possibly look into signing him on a pre-contract in January. We'll have to wait and see. I just thought maybe we can get him now and that'll be cool. If not, fair enough, and there you go. Also, we did offer a contract to Rafael da Silva Floro. That was the centre-back from Levante, who does look pretty decent as a youngster, but I'm not too sure he'll get too much game time here. But as he rejected the contract and there was only 1 year left, we couldn't do any more deals, so there you go. So we basically save our money on deadline day. I was going to say it's a boring deadline day, and it kind of was, but we save our money instead. I could have put more bids in for young players and promising players. I could have made desperation signings for big headline players, but I thought, do you know what, we'll save our money. We spent over £70 million in this summer transfer window already. We've already brought in a couple of decent players. We don't really need anyone right now. You know, this squad here at Arsenal, it's not, you know, as I mentioned before, it's not great. It's nowhere near as good as we want it to be in the future. But when you look at the players, you know, they're not bad players at all. We can live without, you know, putting in desperation bids on deadline day, basically. So yeah, I'm okay with that. Deadline day does end, we save our money, and going into January we're gonna have like 60 or, you know, at least £50 million to work with. That's a lot of money. So instead of buying players, desperation signings who may not turn out to be very good, we've got, you know, we got a few months basically to scout for some players, see if we can find better targets, and then look into signing them in January. So for me, I think I did a right decision there by, you know, deciding to save my money until January. Usually in career modes, I'll spend all of my budget in the summer transfer window. That's just how I operate. But for this time, I thought, no, I'm going to save my money, be a bit careful, and we'll wait and see how things look in January. And there you go. So that did indeed end the summer transfer window. As you can see, here is the squad report as well, and also a look at the league table. We are in 6th place after 3 games, 2 wins and 1 defeat so far. So there you go. And you'll also see the Champions League group as well. We've got Sevilla of Spain, Porto of Portugal, and also Genk of Belgium. So that group, it could have been easier, but it certainly could have been a lot more difficult as well. I think we should be able to get through the Champions League group, but I don't think it'll be plain sailing. There'll probably be a couple of games which could be quite difficult for us, but we'll have to wait and see. I still fancy our chance of getting through the group, but we'll have to wait and see. Still, we take on Carlisle United for the first game of today's episode, the first and only game of today's episode. And just before I get into the game, I want to say I'm redoing this commentary and remaking this video because last night I hit 100,000 subscribers, and I want to say thank you very much for everyone that's been subscribed to me for however long. It's been really, really awesome to have your support, and to reach 100,000 subscribers is amazing. I mentioned on Twitter last night, you can follow me on Twitter at @Doclanders. It's an amazing achievement, and I really am grateful for it. So I want to say thank you very much to everyone that has been subscribed and still is subscribed and still enjoying my videos. It means an awful lot to me, and of course without you guys this channel would not exist. So thank you very much for all the support. I really do appreciate it. Still, we do take on Carlisle for the first and only game of today's episode in the Capital One Cup, and of course I would decide to rest the entire team, give chances to young players, and one of those young players did score our first goal of the game. Daniel Atta, otherwise known as Zlatan Ibrahimovic's regen, heading the ball in and making it 1-0. So the perfect start to us. And in 20th minute here, a lovely little run by Odi Barjo. He goes through, but it's denied by a good stop by Gillespie, and it's turned behind for a corner. So it would have been a very nice goal there, but it was still 1-0. And from the resulting corner, Rani Unlu crosses the ball in. Odi Barjo goes for the header, and this time he's not denied. So Odi Barjo, possibly the regen of Jermaine Defoe. So we had the regen of Defoe and Zlatan Ibrahimovic starting up top together in this game, and both of them had scored goals. So 2-0 to Arsenal. And to be honest, despite resting the entire team and playing a completely different set of 11 players, I really did fancy our chances. That's no disrespect to Carlisle whatsoever, but you know, this is, you know, these young players need to prove themselves, and Randy Unlu scores here to make it 3-0. After we got off to a fast start with Atta scoring the goal, I felt as though it probably would be all one-way traffic. As I mentioned before, once I get an early goal against lower league opposition, I really do tend to turn the gas on and turn to, you know, basically just start to dominate really, and this was the case completely in this game. We were 3-0 up here with Unlu's goal, and in the 35th minute, some nice passing sees Odi Barjo play it through towards Daniel Atta, looking for his second goal of the game. He goes down the right hand side and cuts into his left foot. He shoots, but it hits the post, and eventually Odi Barjo comes for it, and he also hits the post as well. So twice we hit the woodwork there, and it's cleared away. So still Carlisle 0, Arsenal 3, but as you can see in the top left, Carlisle had 0 shots in the first 40 minutes. We'd already had 7, already dominating. As Gnabry finds Atta here down the right hand side, he fake shots around his man, crosses the ball in. What a ball that is! And Randy Unlu has a free header, and he's not going to miss. So Unlu gets his second goal of the game. Carlisle 0, Arsenal 4, and the game is pretty much done before half time. I couldn't really see Carlisle scoring, you know, 1 goal, let alone 4 at this rate. So Carlisle 0, Arsenal 4. That was a brilliant ball by Atta. Look at that. That's a fantastic cross, isn't it? And Unlu just could not miss there. So Carlisle 0, Arsenal 4. And on the stroke of half time, a great chance to make it 5-0 as Unlu wins the ball back and goes on the break here. Of course, on a hat-trick right now, but he threads the ball through towards Odi Barjo down his left-hand side. He takes on Archibald Penville, beats him, cuts past the slide challenge and shoots, and well, Gillespie, the Carlisle goalkeeper, had already picked the ball out of the net 4 times already, and I don't think you could have blamed him for any of the goals, to be honest, but for this one, he should have saved it, shouldn't he? That's right underneath his body. It just squirms underneath the gloves there, through his, well, it's through his body really, isn't it? That's a poor piece of goalkeeping, and Ondi Barjo makes it 5-0, so Carlisle 0, Arsenal 5, and it was getting pretty embarrassing for the home side, to be honest. Myrie Williams went quite close 10 minutes after the restart, but it was still 5-0, and half an hour later it was still 5-0, and in all honesty, after we had basically dominated in the first half, in the second half, I kind of took the foot off the gas, and it wasn't a case of, you know, showing respect or anything. It was just a case of knowing that I didn't really need to do anything else other than pass the ball around and basically make sure that none of my players tired themselves out and get any injuries or anything. So to be honest, it was a pretty routine victory. As you'll see, Carlisle did grab themselves a consolation goal with Amu scoring here after coming off the bench and making it 5-1, but the Carlisle fans didn't need to sing ironically we're going to win 6-5 because, well, the game was done, and basically after the header went in, the referee blew for full time. So final score, Carlisle 1, Arsenal 5. We're through to the next round of the Capital One Cup. A really dominant display, as we'd expected, to be honest, and we're really delighted with that. So as always guys, a big thank you for watching the video. Really do hope you have enjoyed it. If you have enjoyed today's episode of Career Mode, then please do leave a like, it is much appreciated and it really does help my channel out, and I'll see you for the next episode of Career Mode very soon. And once again, thanks for 100,000 subscribers, really appreciate it.